How are you, Luis?
Hi, I'm not sure what to be. Is there a, do you know if Twitter Space works on the our normal desktop yet?
I've never tried it, but I remember it was hard to pull up people and to see people. So I
Mm,
usually I think I just use my phone. I
okay.
remember using your desktop or
Well,
your cell
no
phone.
lie, because the last time I tried this, I had all sorts of weird issues now with desktop also. But it's yeah, I guess I'm not used to talking to my phone like this. It's like I've got such a massive like production no setup here at home. That was like I'm just talking into my phone right now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Because I tried to do it on my desktop before, but I remember not being able to see whoever comes up and down. It wasn't as easy.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
No, it's okay. Anyway, this is fine naman. It's just a little funny lang na ano, like yeah, I'm talking into a very small device right now. That's all.
okay. Do you have earpods or are you using
Well,
AirPods?
that's the other problem that I keep running into it. But when I become a speaker in a Twitter space, nagdi-disconnect yung headset ko.
Ah,
So
okay.
so I can't even do that. Like it's unbelievable how wonky Twitter space continues to be, considering how popular it is. It's so strange.
Yeah, yeah, right now, no, especially it's gaining traction. So it's especially in this, when since they moved over and added spaces. But you sound really clear, so that's
Okay.
good. You
Okay, that's
sound
good.
loud and clear. It's pretty
Okay.
good.
Okay, that's good enough.
Yeah,
That's all naman that I was really concerned about, so that's fine.
yeah. Um, Hi Isma,
Hello, GM.
how are
GM sa
you?
gabi.
GM.
Okay naman
Kamusta?
audio ko? Okay naman audio?
Yes, okay then. No,
Okay.
it's pretty good. You're also loud and clear. And
Ayun,
it's also
ayun.
like, yeah, and also like to welcome Putik Brown. How are you?
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, loud and clear. So welcome.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to our spaces. And let's wait for, I think, yeah, let's wait for some more people are trickling in right now. So I think Mike also. We're waiting for Mike. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm excited to have you all here. We have a very interesting topic tonight. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts and the things that you guys see and any patterns that you've seen in the past. And if you think that it's something that will repeat. So and also good to discuss how we can also share with people how to protect ourselves. Now I know sometimes there's a lot more compromise in discords and other social media channels and how one can protect themselves. So there's a lot of and we'll also probably be discussing um, art in the NFT space. And maybe if the audience are also we can also talk about um, the Terra Luna. I don't know if they're if it's something that they're interested in.
Sure.
Yeah. So how about you?
I feel like that was really the third show that I've done this week talking
Oh,
about
really?
Tela.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's gas gas na, no?
Well, I mean, it's there's a lot of people that are don't completely understand what happened. There's a lot of confusion about what the correct path is for them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even the Terra community itself probably doesn't know what the correct path for them is.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, I guess you could say that's still an emerging story. Hanggang ngayon kasi.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I think that's true. And I'm also curious now as to what will happen, especially now they're trying to do their second move and to try to to salvage what happened. So I wonder how it will all turn out. And it's also Dokon is also having to face legal issues in South Korea. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't know how that will come
I don't
about.
think he's been having a good week.
Huh? I'm sorry, Luis.
I don't think he's been having a good
Yeah,
week.
I know it's it's so stressful. Yeah. So everyone, welcome to our spaces. Maybe we'll wait for more people to come in. I'd just like to say hi to Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Sherry. Hi, Luis. Hi, Isma. And hi, Putik Brown and everyone here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you also. Welcome and let's see. Okay. So I'll just like to welcome everyone in the space as well. We have Lupi Moon, Jopet, Sifkwa, Andre, Shetwin, Zebel, South Golden Dogs Movement, James Chua, WTF, Niku Tensei, welcome. Erickson, Project Hiraya. Oh, I like that name. Jean, Meet Space, Lupin, Arsene Lupin, Arlu, Jenki, Jillian. So welcome everyone. And I think people are still just coming in right now. Welcome also to some of the new ones, the Digital Pinoy, Nixie NFT. Okay. All right. So so tonight, as people are coming in and trickling in, we're very pleased to have our speakers. I'll introduce them later, maybe as we have a little bit more people. But we'd like to discuss a lot of interesting things that's happening in the NFT space and in the crypto space. It's been very tumultuous. Maybe this year after maybe after the first quarter, and it's interesting. We don't know yet what will happen, but there's also a lot of developments now. But as we've seen in the past, um, that happened in the dot-com boom, and then you know um, some went bust, but a lot of the good concepts remained, and stayed true and up to today. So I'm not sure. Maybe that's also a little bit of what we're going through. So yeah, we have more people that came in. Welcome, Creation, IJ. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm reading that correctly. Nakdar, Benjed. So welcome to our spaces. All right. So so tonight, this is one of the spaces that we've held, and what we'd like to do is to uh, create a place where we can get very reputable speakers, such as the speakers we have tonight, to be able to share with us ideas and to be able to talk about relevant things, and also hope we'll be able to have a lot of takeaways and learnings for a lot of our listeners not here tonight. um Maybe we might also have a surprise raffle. We'll see. Okay. So welcome everyone. My name is Sherry Gotuaco. I'm from Scarlet Box. Our platform aims to bridge the generations through arts and culture. And we'd like to do that by featuring, very respected artists like blue chip fine arts in the area of visual arts. Like we recently launched Abdulnar Imo and Jose Hoya and their second gens. No? And this is one way of contributing to the space and how to create more awareness for the younger generations as well, to be able to learn more about their culture and to appreciate the works of the artists that that are very highly honored by our country. So we'd like to bridge that by also celebrating a lot of the young works of today. So I'm excited to be here, and because we'll have a very interesting discussion on a very timely topic, the current state of NFTs and crypto and anything related. And we have a very, very good lineup of speakers tonight. So let me introduce them. So first up is Luis Benaventura. He is currently the country manager of YGG, or Yield Guild Games. As everyone knows, it's the largest gaming guild in the Philippines. He's one of the early participants in the Web3 space with an early start in crypto. And he's also an accomplished artist with crypto pop in this NFT space. So I've seen his work, pretty cool. He's also a NAS Academy lecturer, so, and a very, very in-demand speaker. So we're very happy to have him tonight. So hi, Luis.
Hey everyone, I'm super happy to be here. Excited to talk about Terra. Sorry, just kidding. NFTs and and learn from all of you people also.
Okay, great. Thank you, Luis, and welcome. Next up is Ismael Jerusalem. He is the founder of Only. He is a deep explorer of technology, gaming, and art on the blockchain through NFTs since 2018. He has organized communities in his native Bicol region, building a community of creatives, artists, collectors, and tech enthusiasts. He's a full stack developer. He really taught himself how to do Solidity and all the other chains. He's also one of the more technically informed in our space today, and also an in-demand speaker. So hi, Isma.
Yun. Hello everyone. Hi sa lahat. Thank you for inviting me here, Miss Sherry. Hello din, Sir Luis, Putik Brown and Mike, and the Crypto Art PH there sa baba.
Ah,
I think
nice. Okay. So Isma, are you in Manila or you are in Bicol?
nasa Albay na.
Nasa Alberna. Wow.
Oo.
Wow. So you're like si Isma, I see him in events here and then he's back and then he's in Cebu. So wow, so busy. He's our very
Ayun.
busy traveler. So welcome Isma. Next, I'd like
Ayun.
to introduce Putik Brown. He has been crypto trading since 2017 and started investing in NFTs in 2020. He worked as a head collab manager for several projects, with the most recent one named Eternal Vikings. He loves to play online games during his free time. So we're very happy to have him here. Hi, Putik Brown.
Hello po. Thanks for having me, everyone. And I'm really happy to be here. And nice to meet as well, Sir Luis, Michael, and Isma. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Pratik Brown. Mike is, one of our favorite guests, and he's been dear to us. He's an advocate who believes that correct information about blockchain and cryptocurrency can empower people to help make accurate decisions and increase fintech literacy throughout the country. With a background in video gaming publications, he has spearheaded Bitpinas and led its editorial direction to be a fast-growing crypto news media in the Philippines. He has also is also This is also someone who's up and about. I see him in a lot of events and diligently covering many things around so that we are all well informed. So we really appreciate that. Hi, Mike.
And hi everyone, thanks to Miss Sherry, and hi to our other speakers, Luis, Putik Brown, Isma, Luis, also dalawa Luis, and everyone who is here. Excited to learn with everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Mike. So, thank you, everyone. I think we had more people come in, so thank you for being with us. And yeah, maybe let's start chatting. And people will be coming in later. Maybe just finish their dinner, and now would be interested to learn more about what's happening in the space. So, maybe Mike. So what we will do is maybe I'll probably ask some questions to someone, just so that no one's waiting. But feel free, anyone in the panel. Feel free to just chime in if you have any ideas, or raise your hand, or whatever is comfortable for you. We'd really love to hear your inputs. And anyone in the audience also, we welcome you. Feel free to send a DM to either to Scarlet Box, or to Luis beside me, who's co-hosting, or you can request to be a speaker. So that's something. But before anything, may I request something from everyone? If you can please tap the blue circle on your lower right hand of your cell phone, the one with the plus sign. If we can all tap it, we do also respect to our speakers, so we can have more people listen to them, since they have it's a really good lineup and we have very good ideas to share. So maybe I'll do that as well. So let's tweet the everyone, let's tweet the space by tapping the lower right hand with the plus sign, lower right hand circle. So thank you all. So my first question is, what do you think of the current NFT market? Maybe a general idea, whether is it something that you've seen in the past, any patterns that you've seen in the past, and what are your thoughts about it? So maybe I'll go with maybe alphabetical in terms of the last name. Uh, Luis, would you like to start?
I wasn't sure if I was the first one based on last name. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Sure. Well, so I've been in crypto for a while now. Kasi I guess maybe, so what I'll do siguro is I'll talk about yung parang the big picture pattern, no? So this is my 8th year in crypto. It's, if you believe that we're in the middle of crypto winter right now, then this would be my 3rd crypto winter. What are the things that I've discovered or seen in the previous two? A lot of projects had to either kind of uh, shut down, or they were absorbed into larger projects. So that's, in the industry, we call that consolidation. Um, and But I guess, kind of on the upside, what I noticed was that these winters are usually when the strongest crypto brands are usually built. So I've repeated this a few times now, and I kind of do it because I'm trying to kind of look at the look at this season with some optimism. So, for example, in 2014 to 2015, that's when Coinbase became, kind of basically the largest crypto company in the world. And then 2018 to 2019 is when Binance kind of became, the central, the go-to exchange for most of the world that weren't already Coinbase customers. And then I'm not really sure what will happen in this one, but I think that what we're going to see is a lot more of the Dexes are going to be kind of the poster childs for this new season. So what do I mean by the Dexes? I mean like the Uniswaps, the Sushi Swaps, the Pancakes, the gosh, what's the Solana version? Anyway, so these decentralized exchanges, I think, is where most of the action is going to be. But I think it's also in the DeFi and NFT space that we are going to see the most number of closures and shutdowns. And that's just because that's the natural business cycle. No, we're going to because it's quite easy to start a project, DeFi or NFT related. It's also more likely to be the ones that will close because they're the ones that they don't have quite as much, for example, investor backing to spend. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess. It's both easy to start and then also a little easy to shut down. So we're gonna see quite a lot of that over the next year, I think. But again, I'd like to focus on the fact that this is also when kind of the strongest crypto brands tend to be um, built or grown because this is the most challenging time. And if your business survives the winter, then you're probably in good shape. So that's something to look forward to, I guess.
All right. Thanks so much, Luis. No, that reminds me of, that's in the Web3 space, but that it's similar to the cycle in the Web2 space. No, when we had the pets.com and all these, and they went to bust, and then we saw a lot of the truly, quality with good business models survive. No, it's like Amazon and the FANG they call Facebook, and so it's similar, I guess, no, in a way where there's it proliferates, and then you kind of have like culling, and then the good ones with a lot of value, then they're the ones who stand the test of time. So it's kind of similar to also Web2, no? So it's interesting. All right, how about I think Putik Brown, I should have called you pala first, no? Kasi Brown is BR. So maybe Putik Brown, would you like to say your thoughts?
Um, none really, since it has already been discussed by Sir Luis, and I agree with him. But yeah, yung part na whoever survives this NFT winter will probably also survives kapag nag-bull run na tayo. But for me, for me, I am I love holding NFTs. So during the NFT winter, it is also like an advantage if you have like yung mga stable coins natin. It is the best time to buy the best project right now na you think that it will rise when it comes na ano na yung bull run natin. This is what we usually call NFT discount.
Okay. No, that's true, no? Go ahead, Putik Brown.
I think that's pretty much from me.
No, that's true. I think I do agree also now that sometimes if we are lucky to be able to hold on to either valuable NFTs or some stable coins, it'll help us ride through the winter. No, so I do agree with that. So then again, and again we have to really think well of where we'd like to. I shouldn't say invest now, but where we'd like to put our resources into, and maybe that's something we will discuss tonight on how we can be more careful and what advice we can tell people. No? So maybe we'll go on to that later. All right. Next, Isma, you're up next.
Yun, ako na yung hello everyone, GM ulit. So, paano ba? Since na-mention na almost every detail, pero I just wanna share on how we started kasi in the space. Since we started in 2019 by creating early version of blockchain games. And yung first market crash na na-experience ko was yung nag-lockdown, then nosedive yung market by 2020. I think that was March. And then yun, and that also affects our early startup that was crypto solitaire back then, and we are forced to pivot to focus on what is available resources na meron kami sa crypto solitaire noon. Then yun, kaya kami naging only, so we focus more on the art aspect, setting aside muna yung gaming aspect kasi yun ang as mentioned ni Luis kanina when it comes to funding, kapag crash yung market talaga, it is something that is really needs to be considered kasi it's very challenging to sustain na you're creating a platform, then developing a game at the same time and crush yung market. Then yun, kaya nag-pivot kami to continue building and na hindi namin i-abandon yung project. We pivot to only. And I think that's also one of the options of the projects right now. If they think that the current business model that they're working on is something na medyo alanganin kasi nga bear market, they can pivot into something that can help their business katawid dun sa sa winter. Then yun, and right now kasi we are focused in building our products since most of our team, I think 50% ilan ba? 50% of our team are developers. And yun talaga focus kami mag-build ng product since pag-pivot namin to only last year, nung 2020. And yun, then continue lang talaga yung pag-build. And sa perspective naman ng gaming as of now, since under kami ng accelerator program, tuloy-tuloy pa din. Parang may mga opportunities pa din for grants and funding opportunities for game developers building in Web3. So, sa amin kasi parang nag-start kasi kami as bootstrap project eh. So, we are able to make the most of what is available. And through that, then since kaming mga founders, we are able to create products. And one of my co-founders is Sir Rico Zuniga. He's the CTO of SparkPoint, and I think he's one of skilled developers I know. So kaya maski pa paano, when it comes to uh, skills, resources by means of talents, doon kami medyo at least tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung pag-build.
Thank you, Isma. I guess I'm curious whether, because you said you pivoted, no? Do you think that the pivot, I mean, because I think it happened because of what happened in the COVID, no? Is that right? That's what
Yun
caused
din,
the
oo.
major. So do you think that it's a better model moving forward, or you wouldn't have pivoted if there was no difficulty that came about?
Yung siguro tuloy-tuloy din, pero medyo challenging kasi by 2019, it's really hard to explain what is an NFT. Ah, nag nag Parang madali mo lang malaman din kung sino yung project na nagbi-build, creating local projects and introducing blockchain gaming. Kasi ang idea namin nun is imagine a card game. Kasi given na 'di ba 'pag card subconsciously you play to earn through cards. Then we collaborate with artists, may art aspect pa to create the deck of cards. Then we explore the intersection in between of art, tech, and game. Parang medyo highly technical siya explain nun, and nung mga panahon na yun, parang I'm still on the journey of parang papalalim pa lang yung engagement ko when it comes to the technical side of blockchain development. So yun, pero at least ngayon yung market kumbaga mas ready na compared nung 3 years ago, and they have a much more better understanding. So and I think nung pag-pivot din kasi namin nung 2020, yung parang yung patok nun sa market is the NFT Art 2020. Ating mga third quarter, fourth quarter. Yun na yung parang okay nun sa market eh. So that's why we also decided to focus on that aspect for us to be able to continue building the project together with the existing team.
All right. Thank you for that, Isma. I think it's thank you also for sharing your experience, no? And it's very interesting to see from the side, in the technical side, also what you've had to go through and the things that you need to pivot. And I know now you're working on things that are interoperable as well. So that's also another good challenge, no, to be able to accomplish. But we can chat about that also later. Mike, how about your thoughts?
Yes, from what I understand, hindi lang sa crypto yung down right now, but also in other markets like stocks globally. And as of my data from last Sunday is that we are 65% down from the all-time high. And yung last bear market was I think around 85% yung down nun from the all-time high, if I remember correctly. So maybe we're still not there, no? And so it might be very brutal and painful. But ganon, just like everyone in the panel, I also have hope because of course we have survived this before. And as Louis mentioned, some of the strongest companies are built during the bear market. Even, for example, the number one NFT game was built in the bear market too. Kasi pag bear market, most of your audience then are believers and walang masyadong speculators. So your company or your project will to focus talaga. Um, and even in the country, no, in 2017, 2018, many of the companies that were there, which Bitpinas was reporting at that time, locally either wala na sila, ganyan. But the people and companies that survived, yes, in Isma, and only Spark Point in Bicol, Sina Luis, many and many others are the ones that we see that are the pillars of the space right now, diba? So we just hang in there for now, and we use this time to educate ourselves more about the space, about the industry, about crypto, NFTs.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mike. Do you remember when you mentioned the 85% down, which year you were referring to when you say it was 85% down?
Either that was the lowest point in 2019 or yung 2020, yung March 2020 at the start of the pandemic. Yeah, at that
Okay.
time parang I thought that was it. But
Mhm.
nandito tayo. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. No, so and it's really encouraging to hear from everyone. No, that if you have a a solid concept and if you have good team behind you, and sometimes you kind of need to be lucky, not to be able to have investors or funding, then you'll be able to ride through the winter. And of course, how important it is the community or the supporters. No, that's one thing that I came from largely Web two, no, and and brick and mortar and coming into this space, and one thing that I realized is that you really have to build the community one by one. And it's not something you can just come and like Web 2 people will just come in, like big multinationals, FMCGs, they'll just pour tons of ads, to be able to gain market share. But for the Web 3, you really need to take care of the community, and then again you'll see if the community is able to support you, you'll be able to ride through the tough times. So that's one thing that's also, it's not as easy. That's why maybe the bigger uh, multinationals might not be as easy for them to really have a super big traction, maybe unless you're like Nike and you buy Artifact. But you cannot just pour ad money and try to grab market share. So in a way, that's good because it allows the community to to grow, and be more organic. So thank you everyone for your thoughts. So I don't know if any one of you would have like a kind of like a bold prediction. Sometimes I hear that maybe the towards September or the fourth quarter it will become better already. Anyone would have any thoughts on that,
Um,
Luis?
so in 20s, what was that? I guess it must have been like 2017. I was on TV and I was predicting a $50,000 Bitcoin price at the end of the year. So like I think we did about, I think our highest was 20,000. So it took me like 4 years after that before I was eventually right. So anyway, what did I learn from that? Um, Nothing really, because I mean anyone can be right on a long enough time horizon, diba? So
Mm-hmm.
I think um, if I'm gonna make a prediction this time, I know, I'll probably just. I think it's safer always, in my opinion, as an entrepreneur. No, not as a, not as a speculator. As an entrepreneur, it's always safer to prepare for the worst, because there's no downside to being frugal and parang minding your resources, making sure you have enough money to last a long time and all of that stuff. There's no downside to that. So I think my bold prediction for the end of this year is not going to be very bold. I think we're going to be kind of in a sideways market through to next year, actually. And the thing about the crypto markets is it takes them a long time to have amnesia. Parang they need to have forgotten how bad it got first before they have the courage to come back. And typically, the amount of time it takes for that to happen is about 2 years. It's we saw it. We saw it from 2014. We saw it from 2017. We're probably going to see it again now. So I assume that we're going to be in this until mid next year. So kaya all of the advice I've been giving recently to other parang people in the space, no? So either project founders or people whose businesses are supporting the crypto industry somehow. Maybe they're like a development company, maybe they're a marketing company. But usually what I say is, make sure that you have enough money to last you at least until the next year, because it's going to be pretty rough. And as Mike was saying, we're not actually at the bottom yet, because traditionally, when you say that we're in a crypto winter, we're looking at least at a 75% drop from all-time high. So yung all-time high natin was $2.9 trillion market cap for the entire crypto space. We're currently at about 1.1, so we've only lost about 60-ish%. So we have a little bit more to drop, I think. But typically, yung mga drops like that they don't last very long. Like for example, nung the most recent one where we dropped from $20,000 Bitcoin price to $3,800, that only lasted for a couple of days. And usually the market kind of rebounds after that. Not it doesn't rebound hard. It's not gonna like trigger the next bull cycle, but it usually doesn't last very long because yung ganun kalaki na drop, marami nag-iintay dun eh. There's a lot of people who are waiting for these massive drops because that is the cheapest way for them to acquire Bitcoin or other blue chip cryptos kind of during this cycle. So yun, parang typically the 75% or 80% mark is kind of where people start buying again. So that doesn't last very long. At least it hasn't in the last couple of times that this has happened.
Okay. All right. Now, wow. So we all have to brace ourselves, no? Yeah. So the ones that I hear, maybe the ones I hear are a little bit more on the optimistic side. No, they think that maybe towards the end of this year, but hearing from you, it might be more prudent. And bootstrapping is all one thing that's wise, no. I have a, a request here. I'm not sure if we have a question from JC. Okay, what is coming up? All right. So how about the rest? Any thoughts? Because I've also, there's sometimes, Luis, I've also seen where write a tweet from someone who's right, or a tweet or a wrong tweet can either pull up the market up and down very quickly, So what do you think about that? I mean, what do all of you think about that? Do you think does it still have that much power? Isma?
Yun. Ako kasi pagdating sa pagbasa ng market when it comes to when will be the next bull run, what would be the future of crypto kung kailan. I think it's not my expertise on to it's not my call to parang medyo palya ako diyan eh. Kasi ang
Okay.
approach ko sa ganyan uh most people kasi they keep on telling that NFTs is the future, crypto is the future. Ako kasi ang approach ko is NFT and crypto is the present and not just the future. So I'm always medyo rational na this is what is happening right now. So we make the most of what is available. Then but I'm not saying na we don't have to prepare for the future. I'm just saying na yung pagdating sa mga predictions on what would be the next market will going to happen. Medyo ko diyan. Medyo palya.
Okay. Thank you so much for being very candid, na Isma. Daisy, oh, sorry. I thought there's a request. There's a request. Can you help me with that? Our own, yeah. So I think there was a request, but I cannot find it. So, so how about you, Mike? Yeah, please.
Yes, I guess your own research din talaga yung pagkakatiwalaan mo and not just the tweets of everyone, no? And well, I don't know about everyone, no? But the thing in crypto din minsan, when you think you're right, you might be wrong. Parang di ba, pag bumili ka nung particular crypto, bigla siyang bababa. Pero o kapag nang binenta mo, tsaka siya tataas. May mga ganung instances eh. So, may mga prediction nga na, for example, I think there's a highly publicized prediction ng 100K by 2021, by end of 2021, which is, I don't know. Pero kasi,
I think that was
personally,
no, Mike, parang
yeah,
Plan B yata is the one who predicted that. I'm not sure.
si Plan B. Yeah,
Oo, sige.
yeah, ako personally, parang hindi pa naman nag-churn yung stomach ko. So I think this isn't it, no? So we want to make sure. Yung tanong mo naman yung about sa tweets, na kapag someone who tweeted or someone na nag-news, I mean, di ba, it happened before, di ba, when Michael Saylor, ganyan, or with Elon Musk. So, I guess, I don't know, if Apple tweets that they bought Bitcoin, maybe. It has to be someone very big. But I don't think it will the run will last. So I think at some point mag-normalize din yan. And I guess just checking yung previous ano no, yung mga previous announcements when Michael Saylor announced that he bought Bitcoin ganyan. Yeah, umakyat ganyan ganyan. But where we are now, I'm not sure if andun na tayo sa kanyang median or average price or not. But definitely he bought higher than what we have in the current price of Bitcoin right now.
Okay. Thanks for that, Mike. Jaime, would you like to have a question for our speakers?
Yeah. Thank you for inviting us all to the space, and thank you to speakers for sharing your thoughts. My question is, I know you gave advice to founders and builders who are entering this bear market, but what if you're a new founder or builder who's just starting to build now? So you haven't come in with any fundraisers, you're still starting to make your connections during the bear market. So is there any difference in advice between those set of builders compared to builders who may be coming into this with already some budgets and who can ride out this bear market?
All right. Thank you, Jaime. Sorry, Luis, did you say want to say something?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty easy piece of advice. Kasi, so the people who are kind of coming in this season pa lang, so maybe they started in 2021 or whatever, you're actually very similar to a lot of new content creators in the space that are now starting to try to talk about crypto on their YouTube channels or in their TikTok and stuff like that. So I think the advice actually still works for this other cohort also. What I usually say is try to use this time to grow your network as much as you can, and then try to find a side gig or a small regular job that doesn't take up all of your time, just something that you can do on the side that will pay you in crypto. Because it's a good time to accumulate the blue chip cryptos because the exchange rate's low, right? So that means your hourly rate, whatever your hourly rate is, will buy you more Ethereum during this period. And the reason why I don't say join a crypto company full time is because that, well, a, it's a little bit harder to find a crypto company who's kind of throwing around a lot of money right now. But B, also, you don't want to rely on crypto as your parang bread and butter during this period because, if you are unlucky and you work for a project that does really badly over the next year, you could be out of a job again. So I think if you can find a way to get involved in a kind of a small way lang, don't change your life for this. If you can find a way to get involved in the crypto industry in a small part right now, you keep working at it, over the next year. By the time the bull run comes along again, you'll already have established yourself in a way that it would have been much harder to do this during a bull run. And the reason for that is because during a bull run, everyone is suddenly into this industry. So it's very hard to be heard. But during the winter, there's fewer voices because a lot of people quit. So if you are passionate and you actually have the dedication to stick with it for the next year or so, this is the best time to make yourself competitive because the playing field has been somewhat reduced in its size. So it's much easier for new entrants to come in and make a name for themselves right now. I mean, that being said, it's not going to be easy. No, I'm just saying that this is probably a slightly easier time to do it, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to slog through this for at least the next year and a half. But the good news is, if you stick with it, then you will likely be able to bear the fruits of your labor within the next, by the time the next bull run comes along.
All right. Thanks for that, Luis. And Jaime, I'd like to also add to that, and something that I've also learned is you can to make a lot of connections. I think Luis may have also alluded to this, but try to make a lot of connections now by like joining spaces like this and meeting people. If there are physical meetups, like Web3 meetups, it would be nice to go and to connect with people because that's how maybe you can get good advice. I mean, I met Isma through the web. I mean, through one of the Twitter space, and I tried to get in touch with him because I knew he was, very versed in this area. So that also to increase your connection and your so that you could get a lot of good advice from people. Putik Brown, you were raising your hand earlier.
Yeah. So I just want to add something sa sinabi ni Sir Luis din. So people also ask me, you already have like a good amount of investment in NFT, but why are you still working like column manager? So, yun din yung sinasabi ko sa kanila. It is the best time to accumulate ka dahil madali siyang gawin. At the same time, marami rin gustong mag-try or maraming nag-open pa rin ng NFTs. And usually, they pay naman their people using using Ethereum, sometimes Bitcoin or fiat coins. Ayun, yung sinasabi ko sa nila, it's the best time to accumulate. So, yung na-accumulate ko in the future, since I also have a plan to make my own project as well, yun yung gagamitin ko. And I believe also na ito rin yung best time to make connections with people. Kasi yung mga natitira or yung mga nag stay in the NFT space during the NFT winter are what I can say or what I believe is yung mga strong people talaga or yung mga naniniwala dito sa market ni NFT. So if you can get those people for sure in the future or in a kahit ngayon current market state talagang they will be there to support you long term.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Patik Brown. And Jaime, I hope it answered your questions. All right, great. Thank you. Another thing that is interesting is, do you consider all of us say that we're still in a very young space, no? Even if 32% of Philippines is the highest, no? 32% of NFT owners among internet users, no? US is about they have about 10% crypto owners and only 3% own NFTs, no? And actually, that's really a little bit surprising to me, because thinking that they're one of the more innovative countries, not to be able to come out with different use cases and different iterations of the Web3, whether it's DeFi or DEXs or or NFTs. So all of you, I believe believe that this is still a young space. Do you when do you foresee this being mainstream? Mike, maybe do you have any thoughts on when do you think this will be sort of close to mainstream? Like before, people were, um, you know, worry about using internet and paying online. They think that if I put my credit card there, it might get compromised, or if I pay online, the items might not come to me. I remember in the Philippines that was the case. That's why onboarding people through online shopping was not that easy. But then again, look at it. There's a lot of mass adoption, and we have you know, online shopping is very, very common. So, any thoughts, Mike, on when you think this might have some sort of like a more mainstream use? Aside from, I think gaming was actually our biggest one because of Axie, but other than that, any other use case that will have a little bit more mainstream adoption?
I think on a more general note na lang, no, first of all, medyo doubtful din talaga ako dun sa 32%
Mm-hmm.
ownership of NFTs. But other than that, I guess the only way to find out that this is already mainstream is when there's no need to explain what it is. Like people just use it to pay, or to have NFTs without actually thinking about why should they own it or not. So in the same way, di ba, nga, the example that we always use is the email, where in the past we need to explain what email is, but now we just use it without actually knowing how it works. So I think that is the point. That is the point in time when when there's no need to explain what NFTs and cryptocurrencies are. Is the time that this is mainstream, and I guess the much more short term or mid term for me, all the segments of the current market are properly supported. So I have identified. No, hindi naman ako. But I think there are four segments of the first support in the current local market. No, we have the traders and investors, and they are properly supported by the industry. We have coins, we have licensed exchanges, we have international exchanges, and then of course we have the play to earn gamers, which we now know are also being supported. We have Union Bank supporting it. We have large guilds, and then we have NFT projects, diba? That like the likes of Kumu are supporting, and many other brands right now. Um, One of the segments that I don't think there's a lot of support is yun nga, yung the crypto artist community. For one, parang ang hirap pa rin mag-cash in and cash out on, for example, ng Ethereum. I think the moment that this particular segment is properly supported, I guess that is the point that is the point in time wherein we are getting there dun sa mainstream kapag itong apat na ito, yung apat na segment na sinabi ko is supported well enough.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Now, actually, when you said something that puzzled me a bit, no, because you said parang you're doubtful about the 32%, the Philippines being the highest, because it's also Philippines so far has about 4.3 or somewhere thereabouts crypto owners. So that's about 4%. So parang how's that possible? It's too far. 4% crypto currency owners, and then you're at 32% NFT. So parang somewhere thereabouts, maybe the 4% is based on the whole population and the 32% based on only internet users. So maybe that's another reason for the discrepancy. um so one of the things that maybe we've been seeing that's happening is a lot of scams that's very rampant, no, whether in Discord, etc., no, and that's something that I think that also puts a lot of fear sometimes in some newcomers, but there are always ways to protect ourselves, no? And interestingly, a lot of the scams use web 2 type of scams, like sending email with links, or some social media, Instagram, or sending links, and it's kind of, those are tactics of web 2, no? So and which just has moved over to web 3 and victimize some people. So aside from being careful of links, what can we advise the community to protect ourselves, no? So that not all contents of wallet are stolen, etc. Putik Brown, would you have some ideas?
Mhm. So, my best practice for that is, for me, yung nagwo-work para sa akin is I use like yung old phone. So, yun yung ginagamit ko. Let's say, for example, someone send me a link. Kasi, every day I am receiving or I am talking with, more than 20 people a day. Since, like what I said before, I work as collab manager. So, ang daming links na dumadaan sa akin na to read their white paper, to check their website. So, for me, the best practice for that is nag-use ako ng mga old mobile device. So, yun yung ginagamit ko pang open ng links. Aside from that is I always check if legit ba yung sinesend niya. Let's say, for example, there is an announcement for like free mint or free airdrop pero wala naman sa Twitter. So, medyo nag-hesitate na ako pag ganun. And then, another thing is kapag too good to be true, like, sasabihin nila they will be airdropping like $500 or $100 per wallet, but if iisipin kasi natin yun parang too good to be true, what if 1,000 people join? So, yun 'di ba? And I always try to wait muna. Hindi ko siya agad kiniklik or hindi ko siya agad ine-entertain. So naghihintay ako ng announcement, like further announcement if okay ba yung team, if kasi wala namang mawawala sa'yo if ano, you're gonna wait if mauna ka man or hindi, 'di ba? So, yun yung parang best practices ko for me. Always try to research muna with their other socials. That's the purpose naman why they have like aside from Discord, they have Twitter, they have Instagram. Kasi just in case na something got compromised, meron silang ano, like maki-clear out nila yun. Yan.
That's very good advice, no? To use like old mobile to open links, no, so that it doesn't, it has no way to get all the other assets that you have, no. So that's a good advice. In addition to the other things that you said, anyone else who has advice on how to protect ourselves? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so first of all, just don't click any links na lang na coming into you. So even sa emails, ganyan, and people that are sending you sa mga Telegram. And I guess yung age-old na, for example, two-factor authentication, ganyan. And then, one important thing is that when someone is asking you for money or crypto, actually, baka naman kasi legitimate, diba? Pero check mo muna if that, with that particular person in another channel, for example, he message you on Twitter, maybe check his Telegram or call their mobile phone para malaman kung totoo ba or hindi. And then yun din yung too good to be true, yung sinabi ni Putik Bang, if it is something that is too good to be true, then probably it isn't, you know. But the problem with that is madami pa rin, di ba, even legitimate projects nagkakaroon ng parang biglang airdrop or biglang announcements. And it's just human nature for us to want to be the first to have something ahead of others. Pero again, as per Putik Bang, you do not need to be the first, no? So siguro wait ka muna within the first 20 minutes, madami namang tao sa Twitter. People will at some point mag-a-announce na fake ito or legit ito, or just wait lang ng in a bit and then malalaman mo kung totoo ba yung particular announcement or hindi.
Okay, thanks for that, Mike. No, and to add to that, in addition to going to all the socials of that particular site just to make sure that that's the announcement that there's really a meeting happening, or there's none, it's also good to type the either the name of the website, etc., rather than just scroll through and click on the link. No, so because sometimes what I've noticed also, some sponsored posts are like copies of something that's minting. They just change like a period or a dot, no? So it's very easy to fool people, and usually siya yung nasa taas, no, because it's a sponsored post. So sometimes it's best to type the site that you're looking for. So thank you for that. Isma, did you want to have any
Ayun.
addition? Yeah.
Ako may additional lang ako nung sa ano, about dun sa mainstream of NFTs and crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Pero ito siguro I'll put a more context about the mainstream. Siguro for people on the internet, one indication para malaman if nasa mainstream na ba yung crypto is if crypto and NFTs are easy for people to use as a meme. Kasi 'di ba pag yung meme ngayon sa internet, yung mga ginagamit na meme parang most people already understand it easily. Parang subconsciously people understand it kaya nakakagawa na sila ng meme. Siguro yun, if memes are easy to if we can see lots of memes that communicate the idea of NFTs and crypto on the internet. I think on my personal opinion is one of the indication na mainstream siya sa internet. But on the internet context, on the people on the internet. Kasi ngayon, hindi pa rin ganun karami eh. Kasi kahit sabihin na natin na crypto is on the internet, blockchain is on the internet. Pero still, there are lots of people na hindi pa ganun kalalim yung understanding when it comes to this industry. And yun, pagdating naman sa security, ako kasi magkaiba I'm using different browser na walang wallet when it comes to those links. And kumbaga may ibang account for the browser para at least kung ano man ang maklik or anything sa any website, walang wallet. So, kasi hindi mo naman kailangan ilagay lahat yung wallet mo sa lahat ng browser, di ba? You're using Brave or you're using Chrome. You don't have to put all your wallets as an extension to those browsers naman eh. Same with Safari, di ba? Sa Safari, medyo safe. So, yun yung approach ko. And I think multi-sig wallets, mas din siya, mas added security kasi hindi kaagad masasign yung wallet mo for any transactions na may na-click ka accidentally or may phishing site. And yun, siguro yun for corporate wallets or for a wallet ng project, ng team. And yun, using different browsers for different specific uses, that also helps to secure your assets.
I think very good advice in terms of how to protect ourselves, no? And also using Trezor and Ledger as hard wallets would also be very helpful, no? Especially if you have a lot of assets that you'd like to take care of. So one of the things, when we're talking also about too good to be true, no, and this one maybe I'll ask Luis, no, like for example, Anchor Protocol, no, with a 20% or 19 point something percent interest. I mean, APY, and so how did they sustain that? Is it because of the number of people coming in, and that's another thing that a lot of people thought it was very very stable, but then it fell apart. So is that something also to look at if the if the APY is too high? Is it also because there's so many of that, so many exchanges that offer a lot of high yield?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the thing you have to remember about APY naman kasi is that the economics of the project don't necessarily parang the 20% APY ng USD inside the Anchor protocol, there was actually nothing fishy about that. The reason why it was high was because they were subsidizing it, and it was kind of clear naman that that was what they were doing. They wanted to get as many people as possible to make their deposit, and they were willing to subsidize the commitments of those users. So I think the thing that a lot of people are confused by, because with with Luna and all of that stuff, and that wasn't a rug pull. That was a perfectly legitimate project that just happened to not work. And that's a really big difference, no? Because I don't think their intention was to create a $45 billion project that they were just going to rug, because it was for one thing, it took forever for them to do that. They could have done that at any point. So it wasn't that. It was just that they actually thought that their mechanism for stabilizing their coin was going to work, and unfortunately, it didn't. So I think with this particular situation, hindi mo and this is kind of the sad truth about crypto projects, no? Some of them are rugs, some of them are scams, some of them are Ponzi schemes, and then there are some of them that are perfectly legitimate and they still fail, and they'll still take your money in the sense that nag-invest ka sa kanila and then mawawala yung pera mo when their price goes down. So this is a reality of making investments in sunrise technologies, meaning that it's stuff that hasn't been figured out yet. And people always tend to forget this when they look at market cap. When they look at the market cap of Luna, at least back then, they were like, oh, well, it's $50 billion. Surely this is legit. Surely this is not a rug pull. Surely the people who have put their money into this know what they're doing. But the thing is, the people who put their money into it, at least in the beginning, understood that they were doing so at great risk, because Luna and Terra were experiments. And it was an unproven method for stabilizing a stablecoin. And I guess that's the thing that, parang syempre that narrative was lost na after it became more and more popular. Parang people just stopped repeating that. But the reality was, it was never proven. And well, I guess it never will be now, because I guess, it clearly doesn't work. So, yun. So yun yung, I guess that's kind of the thing that I have to keep repeating. No, parang sometimes even good intentions don't work. Which is why when it comes to these more experimental projects, or these projects that are trying a completely different approach to an established problem, you should only be putting in kind of, this is literally where you only put in money that you're willing to lose. And I'm really usually very careful when I say that statement. So, for example, I think that there is an almost zero chance that Bitcoin will go to zero. So I don't tell people only invest the money that you are willing to lose in Bitcoin. I don't say that, because I actually think that no matter what happens, Bitcoin will have a price. It's just not guaranteed that it will be higher than what you bought in for. But I actually think that the odds of it going to zero are so incredibly small as to be it's unnecessary to factor that in. However, there are a whole bunch of other projects in the crypto space where I do feel like they could still go to zero. I'm not going to list them all down because there's a ton of them, but that's where you really need to kind of think about, parang, can I really afford to lose this $1,000 stable coin that I'm about to put into this project? If the answer to that is no, then I don't think you should do it. Or at the very least, you should probably spend a little bit more time on trying to figure out exactly what it is you're getting into. No, and the problem, because with herd mentality for stuff like Terra, was that after you saw your friends who were kind of a long time now in the industry, after you saw them putting their money into Anchor Protocol and getting that 20% APY, you stopped asking, right? Biglang nawala na yung critical thinking mo, because, well, I mean, okay naman to dun sa dun sa friend ko na like who's been in crypto as long as me. And that's when I guess everyone got a lesson, right? And I include myself in this, because I actually bought Luna at the top, although I didn't put money into the USD. But anyway, whatever. Nalugi din ako. So like I completely am guilty of exactly the same thing. So it was a nice wake up call that even someone who has been in this industry for a long enough time still sometimes gets surprised by what the market is capable of doing. In this case, it was actually a pretty negative thing that the market was capable of doing. But that's crypto life, unfortunately. So ayun, I guess I might sound a little bitter about it, but honestly, I got away with I didn't lose as much as I could have, I guess. So yun na lang. That's the only thing I can say. Like, I'm not, at least I don't have one of those stories that we were reading about recently, about people who put their life savings into Terra and then lost everything when they couldn't withdraw the stablecoin anymore. So I mean, I guess we can be grateful that not all of us had to go through something as horrible as that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Luis, for sharing that. No. So, I think for everyone, Luis was referring to the algorithmic stablecoin mechanism, and as Luis mentioned, it's something that's not proven, and clearly it didn't show that it works. So, it's still for now. It looked like if you are collateralized, you have a real collateral backing. It seems like that may be more stable place now to get stable coin, because this depends on the demand of UST and Luna, and one being burned, one being minted. So if you don't have people believing in those, or in this case where there's some conspiracy theories where some people are the ones who hedged against it, kind of like what George Soros did with the British pound in, I think, 1992. That's what happened. It fell. So with what Luis was saying, like, it's not sustainable, and that's true. Like 20% APY is not sustainable, but I guess it's kind of similar to like how some of the Web 2, like whether Shopee or Amazon before, they would really run at a loss to be able to gain market share. So in a way, sometimes you kind of do a little bit of that, but I guess this is riskier because this is everyone's money.
Yeah,
um,
I think the notion of subsidies naman in the Web3 space, that's a very accepted way to gain market share. I mean, that's basically the story of Axie Infinity, diba? The reason why they were able to make it to 2.5 million daily active users was because they didn't turn off the SLP rewards for adventure mode. Even when every game designer on earth knew that that was unsustainable. It took them basically 2 years of doing it before they finally decided to turn it off. And the reason why they did it is because it was a marketing subsidy. They wanted more people to play the game. So yun, parang it is a very accepted way to do it, but you gotta know when to turn it off. And I guess we're learning that lesson in different projects right now. Na parang okay, yeah, right. So we can't just keep issuing minting and issuing more tokens because yeah, guess what, the market will eventually crash it if there's too much supply. So I guess yeah, that's the annoyance. Sometimes that's the product of a bull market also. Everyone gets extra excited, and then hindi mo na mabitawan yung mechanism that was making your project grow so quickly. Siyempre, I'm being like really, I'm leaning into the Axie story a little bit too much because on hindsight, it was clear that they should have stopped the SLP rewards a lot earlier. But, yun nga, I guess it is hindsight, and hindsight is so much clearer than, when you're actually in the middle of it and you're trying to forecast what you're supposed to do next. Mas mahirap talaga yung job nila, and I'm just commenting on it after the fact.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for sharing that. No, that's true. Sometimes when you're in the thick of things, it's really hard to, especially if something is going right, it's very difficult to push the brakes. No, Jaime, did you have a question? I'm not sure if you raised your hand.
Yeah, I guess more just a comment. The way of subsidies is a very old tactic. So even in Web 2, even in financial companies in Web 2, you'll find that they're subsidizing. And I know this is done, for example, in the banking industry. So, for example, a lot of the digital banks that are launching in the Philippines today, like your Tonics or the Maya banks, they're giving out 6% APY, right? And when you think about it, 6%, they haven't really done much loans yet, so they're mostly earning fees on transactions. So it's really a subsidy play and a marketing play to acquire more customers. And you see this a lot as well in the U.S. market, or even not in the U.S. market. Just look no closer than here in the Philippines when you had the likes of Uber and Grab coming in. They were heavily subsidizing the prices and giving out a lot of referral promo. So it's a widely accepted practice. You just, like Louis said, you just need to know when to turn it off. And unfortunately, even in Web 2, there are a lot of companies that are listed on the stock market in the US, like a lot of tech companies, and they're still not making any income because they're burning a lot of cash in other places.
All right, thanks for that, Jaime. And that's true. That's something that's been used even by in the FMCG to gain market share. So I guess it's a time, it's a strategy that's used through time. No, and I guess it's just different mediums of using it. Maybe just to refresh the space. we're talking about riding the NFT wave, and we have a very wonderful, interesting discussions. And we've already discussed, where we think the NFT market is going and how to keep ourselves safe, and things such as even with Terra and what's happened lately. And just quickly to introduce our speakers again: Luis Benaventura, um, Isma Jerusalem, Putik Brown, and Mike Mislos. So from different fields and sharing their views on the different topics. No, so for those of you that haven't done it, I mean, I'd welcome you to click on the lower right blue button because it will share the tweet and hopefully have more people be aware of our spaces because we're really learning a lot from this space, even myself. So one thing that the next one I would like to kind of open up is what are the most maybe let's go to something a little more positive. No, what are the most innovative developments that you've seen in the field? No. I've heard that there's also adult entertainment and all these B2B selling virtual land. No, maybe would you like to maybe Isma, you would like to share what you've seen around there that's more innovative and new in the Web3 space?
I'm not sure if super innovative or what, but I really like yung learn to earn na
Mm-hmm.
parang sumisikat right now wherein there's a platform that allows you to learn something and then it will pay you in return. It's kind of similar to how some colleges, 'di ba, they will have you enrolled muna do sa school, and then at some point they will be the one to place you, 'di ba, dun din sa employment, and then they'll get a share. I mean, yung college siguro will get a share dun sa salary mo. So I think that is the same concept. Instead, the difference that this one is happening here in Web3, and definitely more open to more people in the space kasi syempre you can onboard basically everyone, 'di ba? In crypto as long as they have the smartphones and the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the idea of learn to earn, no? And I think one of the recent ones that also launched is a MetaCraft, and I think that's one promising way also for a lot of people to have jobs, to be able to get jobs after because a lot of these also platform have ties to companies that would need devs or people in different fields, no? So that's something that's positive. That's really good for our community, no? or the Philippine community, very young. Putik Brown, did you want to add something?
Actually, yun din sana yung sasabihin ko yung about kay Michael, but I think yun nga, yung unique is yung, for me, currently, yung mga most unique na way nila ngayon during the NFT winter is yung mga passes. So, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with that. So, meron mga groups or mga elite groups na nagsisell or meron silang minting ng mga passes nila. And once you minted these projects or you minted these NFTs, you will have like an opportunity to talk with bigger people, to learn a lot from them, like even the big guys. So meron din sila, like for example yung mga sila Ryan the Crypto, meron silang sariling parang yung passes nila, and when you have those passes you can talk with them. They can also provide you some good stuff, like they can share their experience with the NFTs, and aside from that, they can the group can also provide you like yung mga whitelist spots, kasi we all know right now it's before kasi hindi naman siya ganito kahirap i-grind talaga eh. Before, so I started with the NFT 2020 January, and hindi naman ganun kahirap maghanap ng mga projects, and yung iba pa nga hindi pa uso yung mga whitelist. And yun yung nakita kong parang best way to enter the NFT is yung having those passes. Kasi aside from you can have like a whitelist spots from them, you can also learn, and then meron din silang parang mga sessions like um, siguro mga once or twice a day na tuturuan ka nila how to proper do trading. They also can give you like calls, pero hindi lang sila basa-basa nagko-calls. Meron din silang parang mga teaching session na why you should enter this like this specific price. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Putik Brown. No? I think I really agree with you that access is one of the most important utility, no, of many of the in the NFTs that are being issued. And also for people, some of you may know, but some may not. There's also POAP or POAP, proof of attendance protocol. So POAP, I think is .xyz. So it's a free use of like a badge, no. And I think in the educational space, talking about play to learn, also in the education space, that is how some of the use case of NFTs can be used now, like badges. Like some schools, like I think Pepperdine University use it, and there's a few schools that use it. That they give this badge after you attain a certain level of education, or maybe honor, or a certain level that is expected of you, or a certain higher level, and this becomes like something that's coveted, or something that becomes like a part of an exclusive group. So, and it's something that I think can also have a lot of applications if you have you're in the uh, restaurant, or even clothing. You can issue POAPs, no, for people who attend your events, no, and this can be a badge that will show that we all were at the same time together. So I don't know, maybe we will issue that next time, no. And it's free to use, and they subsidize themselves through also donations, no. So that's something nice that's kind of related, no, to the um, our play to learn models. Isma, I'm not sure if you can speak already, or you're I don't know if your mic is already okay. Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear us. All right, so now another thing that I'd like to kind of discuss is I don't know, Luis, do you have anything to add on aside from what they have shared on different models that you've seen? Um, like there's already B2B that I'm seeing also, or how you can create your own brand.
I think we're just gonna see a whole bunch of variations of play to earn over the next year. So it's just gonna be any activity that you can add an earning model to, or some kind of NFT based parang badge system to. We'll see a variant of that, right? So we're seeing it with learn to earn, move to earn. Um, I think at the a recent event, we were talking to someone who was doing a sleep to earn project. And I'm gonna suck at that one. There's anyway. So I think the point is that we're gonna see a lot of experimentation, and this is exactly like uh, 2016 to 2018, where every possible parang business or industry that you could slap a blockchain onto, they would try to make a blockchain project, right? So anything, fruit distribution, or shipping, logistics, travel, basically anything na pwede mong salpakan ng blockchain, they tried it. Some of those projects are still around. Most of them didn't go anywhere. We're seeing exactly the same parang gold rush towards this earn model. This I guess we're kind of starting to call it X to earn, because X can be anything. Um, so we're seeing that again in this era. I think that yeah. So I think that we're going to see a lot of people take advantage of this and actually use these projects to generate alternative incomes for themselves. And it's because of that that I'm less cynical about it, actually, because unlike the blockchain craze of 2016 to 2018, um, those weren't really solving any problems. Not in the same way that these extra earn projects are trying to solve. I mean, they're at least putting money into the hands of users, which is kind of the opposite of what the whole blockchain hype stuff was doing back then. So for this one, I'm a little bit less cynical, and I do. Parang YGG in general kind of is monitoring all of this stuff very, very closely, because we're looking for what the next thing might be. And we think that very, very obviously it's going to go beyond gaming at this point, because not that we think that we're not going to see any more game NFTs do well. I mean it's almost inevitable that there will be another heir to the Axie throne. But I think that it's also the industry is also expanding well beyond that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to learn from the lessons of Axie Infinity though. I know that like yung Step In project that is doing very well right now. It's a move to earn project. I have a feeling that they're going to end up in kind of the same economic quagmire as Axie Infinity because of their grinding mechanism is a little well, I mean, it's exactly the same. You earn way too much of the token, for doing the activity. But anyway, that's I guess we'll see. We'll see how the new models shape up over time. But I definitely think there's a lot more thinking, and there's a lot of very interesting little concepts floating around out there for us to explore.
All right. Thanks, Luis. What was the game that you're referring to, the last one?
Step in.
Step in. Okay.
Yeah. It's a no. It's a Binance smart chain move to earn project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the token's called GMT. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Isma, how are you doing? I know you've kind of been rugging and up and down. Are you okay? Can you speak? Okay. I think he's still trying to.
Ayun, hello?
Ayun.
Ayun, hello.
Okay. Sige.
Sorry,
Go.
kakauwi ko lang.
Okay lang. Okay lang.
Sorry.
I don't know if you have any thoughts on any developments that you've seen in innovation in this space, or real use cases in this Web3 space.
Ayun. Actually, ano din eh, yung na-mention kanina ni Mike about learn to earn, that's one thing. And I think may nabasa din ako last, I think few days ago, yung soul-bound token, yung sa Ethereum. I think it is something na different approach na sa future of Ethereum daw, sabi ni Vitalik. I haven't read too much about it, but I think that's also something na interesting to learn more about it, na parang it's not non-transferable token, parang different approach sa typical approach ng cryptos. And yun, I think it's also one innovation, but still it's on the experiment stage. So yeah, that's something that needs to explore more pa.
All right. Thanks, Isma. And I like your puppy. I think he's happy to see you. Okay. And one thing that I've also seen is in the real estate area where people also these, whether in fractionalized form. Um, I have a friend who is doing that, either both in the physical real estate properly, like fractionalized ship, and also turning it and having a virtual version of that. No, so there's really many applications, and there's a for fashion, there's a company called Faith Tribe, that where you can create your own brand, your NFTs. Atlas Space, I think there's a B2B selling and using virtual land. So many other applications already that can be used. No? But as was mentioned earlier by our speakers, we will see which one will stand the test of time. No? One thing that's interesting also to me, getting into this art in art space. No, let's say Art Basel had 80,000 visitors, but less than 1% buy, or maybe about 500 to 800 people. No, and it's it's so it shows that it's not very accessible to many people, maybe because there's less art, and you also kind of have to, it's kind of like kind of have to know the gallery owner to be able to get to buy. So it's not very inclusive now. So what I think NFT does is it's creating more awareness now, and making it more inclusive for everyone. But one thing I realized is that the total art world is like $60 billion. That includes everything, no? And if you see that, like FedEx example is 70 billion, so you can see that that's only one company. So the art world has a lot of area of room to grow. And at one point, the NFT market was about 41 billion. So it grew it grew very fast, no? So if you think about it, art NFT also has a lot of room to grow. So I'd like to know what your thoughts about it. Maybe Putik Brown, I don't know if you have thoughts on where art is in this space. Hello, Putik Brown. It's okay. Maybe we'll go to Luis first. Luis, you're an artist, and very skilled at that. So where do you think this art NFT is going?
Well, I'm hopeful that it will eventually normalize to just being referred to as art. Because honestly, like, I really don't like the word NFT. It's such a bad marketing term. So I kind of hope that eventually it just becomes part of the art, like the art industry. So parang pag bumili ka ng digital art, the expectation is just that there's a token that has been minted that symbolizes the ownership in that piece, and it's always just there. It's just something that's in the background, and so we can stop focusing on kind of the technology side of it. I do think that you're going to get more and more big brands kind of putting their stuff into the NFT space. I mean, for better or for worse. I mean, some of the stuff is not great. Some of it is interesting. Very few of them are actually legitimately compelling. But I guess that's the same as anything, any technology that has ever been democratized, right? So it's kind of like how in the early 2000s, Blogger, the blogging technology, the blogging platform basically gave everyone a voice on the internet, no? And a million blogs, started up, and nearly all of them were terrible. But that's part of anyway. That's part of democratization. So everyone now has a voice. There's very few voices that are worth actually following. But at least they're of that 1% that is really good. They now have a platform that will allow them to reach more people. So I guess it's kind of like that also here. You're just gonna have a lot of people come into this stuff, and that's okay. But like only a small percentage of them are really going to be worth parang following or investing in or any of that stuff. But I think it is more important kasi that these tools become normalized, because I think especially here in the Philippines, we are so disadvantaged by where we're from, that it's so hard for there's so few Filipino artists that are parang competing in the global stage, and like of the contemporary ones, there's only really a handful, and part of the reason for that is because it's just parang hindi ka papansinin if you're from this part of the world. It's just really hard. And the nice thing about NFTs or NFT marketplaces is that it is kind of rough, pretty much a level playing field. No, so you can slug it out with the best of them, and you have a chance to have your work kind of featured alongside the biggest NFT artists, and that's kind of nice. I think that's such a big boost for kind of a community that has not been very well represented in the global art scene until now. So, for that stuff, I'm optimistic, I think. Did I lose everyone?
Oh, sorry, it's me again. So I do agree with you. I mean, art is the lens of, in a way, a history. It's through the eyes of these artists that paint the color of what happened around them, and it adds a lot of color and vibrancy to what happens in at the point in time, where the artist is. So it's something that I think, looking back, will have a big contribution to arts and culture. And yeah, I think slowly it'll gain more and more adoption, and as what you said, hopefully maybe it shouldn't just be used as NFT. And I do agree with you that maybe if it was called proof of digital ownership instead of non-fungible token, it would be so much easier to understand,
Yeah,
for everyone.
yeah. NFT kasi was the original parang name for it back in the when the white paper was written, describing what the technology was supposed to do. And they just could not be bothered to come up with like a better term for it, unfortunately. Which is, I guess, what happens pag decentralized kasi yung community. Parang there was no one
Mm-mm.
who parang put their foot down and said, no, that's a really terrible name for
Yeah,
such a
for
cool
market,
idea.
yeah.
Walang
Right,
ganun eh.
no focus group.
Yeah, yeah,
Wala
yeah,
na.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I kept trying to just go for like like, is there no way that we can just make it called just call it crypto art or something? But like, unfortunately, it had a different connotation back then. Parang crypto art was art that was about crypto. Um, and parang masyado daw specific kasi yung term na yon. But anyway, whatever. So now we ended up with NFT art, which
Mm-mm.
is so confusing to so many people.
Yes.
But yeah, yun, that's it. That's what that's what we have to work with right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, agree ako dyan. I mean, if you hear NFTs, it's from for the regular person, it sounds very difficult and complicated. But actually, it is. If you think about the concept, it's just in the 80s when the first time all the computers came out. that's when a lot of the digital assets came out, whether it's in the form of digital graphic arts or in the form of PowerPoint, etc. And for the last 40 years, we weren't able to ascribe any ownership to this digital asset until now. So until now, that's it. It's just like putting a title to a land, right? So it's as simple as that. But I guess it got lost with the, with the name NFT. But if people can just think that how now you can attach like an art and have it proved that you own that because it's in your wallet, then people understand it. Diba? It's just like putting a title to also your car, like your car or insurance. So it's kind of like that. So it's actually as simple as that. No, if people maybe see it in that way. One thing that's interesting also is there's a lot of marketplaces that have been starting to sprout up. No, well, we start, OpenSea is one of the largest. Now then you have Magic Eden of Solana, Looks Rare, who's competing with OpenSea, and now OpenSea has Seaport. Although I'm not really sure. I think it might be NFT trading places, and then there's Blur, which is actually right now in a beta stage of, I think it's more like for pro traders of NFTs now. So I guess I'm curious among our speakers, which chain you do, or which chain you think will survive the test of time, or you like to use? Is it Ethereum, Solana, Polymatic, Polygon, um, Tezos? How about you, Isma? You have
Yun,
any
uh,
preference?
ano kasi, depende kasi may different blockchains are designed for different use cases eh. And some blockchains are specializing as of now dun sa strength nila. So for example, 'di ba si Tezos, it's a different marketplace. Hindi siya same kay OpenSea that may Solana, may other chains. They are focused on their own network. But then again, they are able to compete. Parang yung nakita kong data kanina, parang mas sila-sila lang yung green eh. Parang shiniratan
Mm,
yung mic yun, 'di ba?
mm,
Tapos mas top pa sila kay BSC. And to think that they are not yet open to other chains. So I think there are different for every blockchains. They are designed for their own use cases right now. And different markets din eh. Kung mapapansin mo yung forms of art or klase ng mga NFT na available per marketplaces, makita mo may niche eh. For example, sa Near protocol, there may makikita mo yung may style that is patok dun sa market ng Near. Pagdating naman sa Tez, where lots of kumbaga dun yung maraming experiments of art na nangyayari kasi mababa yung barrier to entry, they can mint freely, almost freely kasi mura lang yung gas fee. And sa ETH naman, iba din. Then sa Solana, iba din. Then more on gaming, associating gaming to art and NFT projects. So yun yung nakikita ko kasi may different specific use cases per marketplace. And yun din, parang may, as of now, may kanya-kanyang niche, collectibles, the art. Pero but then again, OpenSea still remains at the top na it covers almost genre of art from collectibles, art, uh, PFPs, something like that. And but then again, as time goes by, there will be evolution of marketplaces pa din na mangyari. And actually yung isa sa session namin dun sa accelerator program, all about interoperability and all about true digital ownership when it comes to NFTs. Kasi NFTs, di ba, is being defined as something that we truly owned. Kumbaga, true ownership, proof of true ownership. But the question is, if you truly own that item, why can't we use it to other platforms, diba, such as other chains? So I think that limits the definition of true ownership, and that is also something na we need na indication that we're still very early kasi kumbaga yung meaning ng true ownership is not yet fully realized. Kasi kung sa akin naman nga talaga yung isang item, so, and I can move it freely to other chains without any restrictions from other, kung saan na specific network siya nakalagay. And, that's also one thing to think of, maybe on the dev side of things. Kasi, kumbaga naging question din namin, yung naging part yun ng discussion namin na, o nga naman, but philosophically, we define NFTs as something that we truly own, and yet we can't use it to other platforms. And yun, eventually, when it comes to marketplaces, mag-evolve pa siya and different uh, siguro definition on how we truly own or how we represent ownership of an asset and how utilities are being added to those NFTs, especially art. Kasi as of now, parang meron din na discussion about utilities when it comes to art. Tapos art really needs utility. Art nga, di ba? Parang may mga ganun pang discussion. And I think as time goes by, refine din siya kung how will we define an art na NFT. Actually, mas okay din nga ako dun sa term na crypto art kasi yun talaga yung unang term na naabutan ko when I entered the space. And yun, I'm excited also sa mga other value utilities that may incorporate to every NFTs as programmable art. And yun, may inaso ko. Wait.
Mm-mm. Okay. I'm curious, what is the breed of your dog? Ang cute niya nung masaya siya.
Ano siya pag?
Pug. Okay, that's a cute pug. All right. So, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on interoperability, and I do agree with you because then, if it's not interoperable, then which is what how okay bears and not okay bears, you can copy that and then maybe sell it on another chain, no, or replicate it on another chain because um, it's not identifiable, in the other chains. So I do agree with you. Maybe that's the future also one day when all these chains become interoperable, then your ownership of NFTs, I think, will have much higher value because it's something that now cannot be just replicated and sold or registered in another or minted or recorded in another chain. But one thing I guess that surprised me also is that Solana has 3 times as much active developers as Ethereum. That's something that's new. It's like 15.4 million active addresses versus 5.5 million active addresses in Ethereum, followed next by, I think, BNB. Oh, no, okay. Next first was BNB chain with 9.4 million, and then Ethereum. So, I'm really, that's something that surprised me. I thought that Solana's usage was gaining ground, but I didn't know that it was like 3 times the size of Ethereum in terms of developers using it. How about the others? Mike, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so actually babanggitin ko lang yung sinabi nung speaker ng Bitcoin Pizza Day, which is si Luis. I guess yung at the core nung sa mga marketplace question, no, is yung the main core dyan is actually yung blockchain. And yun nga, agree din naman ako that we cannot really bet against, for example, Ethereum. Kasi nga, the best developers are there, yung mga designers, and yung mga innovation first happened there. So, we are not sure which of these blockchains will survive this bear market, no? Kasi ang dami din naman blockchains noong 2017, and madami sa kanila wala na rin. Yet, andito pa rin si Ethereum. So, ako, personally, sa mga marketplaces, so nagbabay din ako sa different marketplaces, but ultimately, core is yung blockchain, and the marketplaces, I think, will just adopt, and they will remain interoperable.
Okay, yeah, that will be nice. And I think in a way, parang let's see, already put in Solana, so it's really trying to compete now because Magic Eden I think is growing very well. So yeah, but it's still just including them, but it's actually still not interoperable. So I do agree with you both. Now that's something that would be nice to see in the future as an iteration of what's happening now. How about you, Putik Brown? Which marketplaces do you prefer, or which chains?
Um, Actually, I'm gonna be honest, pero sa OpenSea lang talaga ako nagte-trade since the beginning. For me kasi, aside siguro sa nakasanayan ko na yung mga big projects na I'm always looking at is always at the OpenSea, yung mga when it comes to the artist, when it comes to companies, they always prefer having their project on OpenSea kasi it's the most, aside sa most popular, siguro I can also say that it is like most hype siguro. But may concern lang about OpenSea talaga is I hope in the future that they change this one. Kasi I'm really curious why there are some projects like I will not name them pero there are some projects na parang irarag naman talaga nila or they copy an NFT product from a different chain tapos minsan na-verified pa nga sila. And then after just a few days, irarag na sila ng mga developers. So hopefully in the future, sana maging tight yung security ni OpenSea. Yun lang naman yung parang wish din ng like everyone else kasi hindi mo naman talaga rin maiiwasan kasi yung may mga mag-join pa din, 'di ba? Kasi we cannot really teach everyone talaga na papasok pero syempre eventually over time if those people naman matututunan din nila pero the only concern is those people na new pa lang sa space and then syempre since na siguro ano nilang verified naman and um they look like naman na they can trust this project, siyempre pumapasok pa rin sila kasi they are looking for quick profit. So yeah, yun lang.
Okay, thanks, Putik Brown. Yeah, OpenSea I think remains, because they're uh, early entrant, so they gain a lot of advantages. No, although yun nga marami ng humahabol, and I think they're developing a Seaport now, which is a Web3 marketplace protocol. I'm not so familiar with that, so I'm not sure if any of our speakers know, but I know that it's open source and it will allow other people to build, and it's really for NFT swapping or trading. No? How about you, Luis? Do you have any preferences in marketplaces or chains?
Well, recently, sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
loud
okay,
and clear.
cool. Yeah, there's something wonky about na nag-freeze yung app eh. Anyway,
Uh,
I'm mostly, well, actually, no, I'm not mostly. I'm 100% Ethereum based. I used to be, so I was one of the earliest artists, Maker's Place. I've also dropped on Nifty Gateway once. But most of the more recent stuff that I've done is just OpenSea also. Um, and yeah, I guess there's something to be said kasi for network effects and the thing about Ethereum is that it has network effects across every corner of the crypto industry. So both the finance side, the collectible side, the business side, basically every innovation that has to do with blockchain, other than proof of work, kind of, nearly all of it started in Ethereum somehow. So the parang the other chains that are kind of trying to do the same thing are, let's just say they're pretty far behind in, if you compare them across all of the different verticals. It is possible that Solana is actually not that far behind when you compare the NFT stuff, but I guess if you compare liquidity pool sizes or DEX activity, they're probably.
so we'll get back to Luis when he's back on. So he was talking about liquidity pools. Let me take note of that. I'll remind him where he stopped off. Okay, so I think everyone gave their preference in terms of the chains and marketplaces that they want. No, and it's very interesting how quickly OpenSea had, although they had a lot of advantage and headway because they were ahead. I think a lot of the other uh, chains are moving forward. No? And then now OpenSea also accepts credit card. No, so that's something that's good also to be able to enable people to jump into the space. Um, I'll invite Luis again too. I think he got robbed. So it's already 9:50. Maybe I'd like to ask my last question to all the speakers, no? And especially in the area of NFTs. Maybe I'd love to hear what are your thoughts on what are the green flags and red flags, no, to look for in NFTs. Like what would show a good check mark that hey, these are good things to think about, and when you consider to purchase an NFT or collect one, and what are to kind of you know be wary of or kind of double triple check. What are the signs? um Mike, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'll go with the ano siguro, yung sa red flag, no. Hello? Ayan.
Yes, go ahead, Mike. Mike, do you mind if I let Luis just finish what he was talking about and
Yeah,
so
sure,
that his train of
yung
thought? Sige. Luis, I think you stopped where you were talking about the liquidity pools earlier and you got robbed. So, I mean, please continue. Hello? Oops, I think he's still struggling with his app. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that.
ayun, yeah. So for I guess I'll go with the red flags, no. Um and if others can add to sa red flags also, and also in the green flags. So I guess per um this is mostly for beginners, you know. If you're starting new, ganyan, you're starting in NFT, ngayon pa lang, you cannot go, well, pwede rin, but most likely you go with projects that have, teams that knows everyone, na parang docs sila. So don't go with projects that are undocs. For beginners, of course, there are successful projects with undocs teams, diba? But of course, if nagsisimula ka pa lang and these projects have undocs yun nga, teams, you might want to ask them for reasons why they refuse to reveal their identities. And if their explanation is not very satisfactory for you, pwede ka na magstay away because there are other projects out there. And then remember that followers and accounts can be bought, especially on Twitter. You might see some projects with a lot of followers, 20,000, 30,000, but maybe some of them are actually fake lang na binili nila. And there's an industry for that. And then another red flag is, shall I say, yung hype. Like, there's an artificial hype. Like, be very aware if, for example, a particular project is puro celebrities or influencers. I'm not but of course, just check kung halimbawa baka fake hype to or something. So mga shady projects kasi they often purchase some endorsements to generate hype ganyan. And then check din yung, for example, mga tactics like saying na parang we should buy now ganyan because this is going to go up at some point. Or kaya naman you might see if you check the blockchain, yung team members pala yung nagsusweep ng floor, those things. We have an article on that sa Bitpinas. Maybe I can share it and with everyone here in the space so everyone can read it. So yun yung akin.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. I think, yeah, please share it so that we can, we can keep everyone abreast with good things to watch for. Luis, feel free to continue. You were about liquidity pools earlier when you were robbed.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Sige. Sige.
Wala, like Twitter Spaces just not my friend talaga eh. Like I keep this happens to me all the time. Anyway, I think I was just saying na parang there parang it's actually an illusion na these other chains are close to Ethereum's footprint because Ethereum basically created all of these different verticals that these other blockchains are kind of competing inside. And I should also mention that, as far back as 2017, there have been many Ethereum contenders. Many of them we don't about anymore. So like EOS, for example, like that was the single biggest ICO of 2017. They raised like $4 billion or something. And we don't know anything about. Parang it's not even part of the conversation anymore now. So I guess my point is that there probably quite a lot of you kasi that think that we're going to see like a really big multi-chain world where there's going to be like Solana and Binance Smart Chain and maybe even Cardano, Tezos, etc. alongside Ethereum. I actually think that we're going to consolidate over time because the world doesn't actually need that many different chains. And certainly the biggest hacks that happen, at least not counting the Ronin hack, the $600 million Ronin hack, no. A lot of the big hacks of the last year are all interoperability hacks, because it's when these two different chains try to talk to each other that all of these different security holes come up. So interoperability is actually a really difficult problem to solve for. And I think that eventually what will happen is we'll just naturally see most of the biggest projects, most of the biggest developers just end up kind of just making a bet na lang on which chain they want to go with. I think that after Ethereum 2 comes out, assuming it actually does come out, we'll see some of the main criticisms for Ethereum right now. We'll see it largely go away. So maybe it's not going to matter so much. The gas fees are not going to be as much of an issue, and maybe a lot of the people who built stuff on Solana were gas sensitive. Kasi I actually think that that's the case for a lot of the Binance Smart Chain projects. It was mostly because they couldn't afford to build a scalable project on Ethereum because it was so expensive. So pag nawala na yung price issue na yun, will people prefer Ethereum and Solidity? I actually think so because it's the most decentralized of all of them. Like Binance Smart Chain and Solana are relatively are relatively centralized chains. Kasi. So if we value things like decentralization, then a lot of this stuff will naturally end up in the chain that is most decentralized, and it's obviously not going to end up in Bitcoin because Bitcoin doesn't do the smart contract thing. No? So it's most likely going to happen in Ethereum above all else. That seems to be the most likely solution. Of course, I could be completely wrong about this stuff, but that's just, I just, parang there's a lot of inevitability kasi when it comes to really, really massive network effect. And Ethereum's the only one that actually has that kasi. So yun, that's it. And I'm sorry that I can't actually stay any longer because I actually have 2 minutes until my next meeting.
Okay,
So I
no
gotta
worries.
bounce now.
No
Yeah.
worries, Luis. We're almost done also. So thank you so much for thank you so much for your time and that no, I do agree with you that there's something wrong if you say, I mean, you want to send money to a different, somewhere else, and then it cannot even tell you, it just warns you that if you use the wrong chain you'll lose it. There's something wrong about that. There should be, there
Yeah.
should be a detection, like you can't proceed if
Yeah.
if your address doesn't belong to that chain. So it's
Mm,
still, yeah, I think that has to be addressed because it's a safety and security, and that also adds a lot of fear for first timers, no.
for sure.
Yeah, so hey Luis, thanks so much. We're sort of almost wrapping up, but feel free to exit, and thank you so much for a lot of the sharing that you did, and we learned
Sure.
a lot.
Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone.
All
See you
right,
again
take
soon.
care.
All
All
right.
right, take
Bye.
care. Bye. Okay, thank you. And then maybe my question is red flags and green flags. That's our last question. Putik Brown, would you like to give your thoughts?
Sure. I just want to add lang dun sa sinabi ni Mike din. So aside from sa mga sinabi niya, other green flags din talaga is yung projects or companies na meron na silang previous project din na like naging very very successful, and I think there's a reason why that project became like very successful kasi aside from very known na magaling siguro yung like yung marketing nila. And I think that is always the best way for you to invest on a project on crypto or NFT. And then other red flags then is there are projects that are very suspicious, like they only have like 3 pages of white paper or 2 pages sometimes. And for me kasi parang ano na siya, you cannot put the future of the project sa 2 pages of white paper. And parang kulang siya, 'di ba? And yun, usually, but it doesn't mean na even though may mga projects talaga na meron ding mga 20 pages, 15 pages, doesn't mean that it will be like really really successful or it is a legit project. So to ano din to support that white paper din, dapat din as much as possible we invest din sa mga docs team. But like what Mike said, hindi naman lahat ng ang docs is hindi naging successful. And also um yung they keep yung kino-continue nila yung word nila or yung kung ano man yung nasa roadmap nila. There are projects kasi na iniiba nila or pinapalitan nila ng way. I mean, I really blame them, pero once I see kasi na for me lang naman, once I see a project kasi na parang pinalitan nila yung roadmap, parang I lose my trust na eh. So it means at the first place kasi kaya ako nag-invest sa kanila kasi I like their intention in the future, 'di ba? So if papalitan nila, syempre parang mawawala yung trust ko. Pero it depends pa rin naman. If maganda naman yung parang outcome or maganda naman yung intentions ni project, I think it can still be like a green flag naman. And aside from that, so merong mga NFT projects din na you see yung engagement nila per Twitter post is sobrang ganda. But when you check the people who reply on tweets, like for example, merong tweet tong project na to and then there is like 2,000 engagement. But check those people na nagla-like and nagko-comment at the same time is, they parang new yung Twitter nila, so they don't have like banners, they don't have like huge amount of followers, parang 1, 2, or 3 lang, like 1 digit followers. And it doesn't mean na hindi naman sila like baka kasi bago lang sila, pero if makikita mo na like 50-70% na nagko-comment is ganun yung profile, I think we can already consider that project na botted sila or something. Pero yun. Pero not all projects na may ganong ano is parang intention ni project. I saw a lot of projects that are really really good and also docs din yung team, but they got infested by bots then at the same time. And yun, so nawawalan ng trust yung mga people syempre pag nakita nila yung ganong scenarios. And hopefully magkaroon na ng solution yung about sa botting ng Twitter, and sana yung talagang fully verified lang yung pwedeng makagamit ng Twitter. For me, I think that is the best way to protect also those projects, kasi kawawa naman yung mga nag-invest dun sa project and napagkamalan nila na baka pakana ni founder to, 'di ba? Pero hindi naman. The reason kasi bakit ini-invest ng bots yung project, it's because to get as much yung mga giveaways. So yun yung another reason din, or to get a whitelist spot from the project. So yun lang.
Okay, thanks a lot, Putik Brown. No? I think a lot of the projects pag nag-umpisa, ang daming nagme-message, no, na, oh, we can be a promoter, etc. Sa amin, ang daming nagme-message, no. So, we have to be wary of that kasi a lot of those are probably just, not real organic followers, no. So, it's good to also be aware. And yun nga, parang, I wish they'll be able to safeguard Twitter and Discords, no, from bots kasi yun nga, it can also mislead, no, real followers. Isma, your thoughts on green flags, red flags to watch out for?
Yun, hello. And rinig pa ba? Rinig?
Yes,
Hello?
yes. Okay,
Rinig
yeah.
ba ako?
Yes, we can
Ayun,
hear
good,
you
good.
loud and
Sige,
clear.
siguro sa akin, I'll have a different perspective kasi puro na red flags yung na-mention kanina. Maybe I can share the main fundamentals that I've been looking for every project. Ano lang naman siya, tatlo. It's 3 C's daw yung tawag, tatlong C. It's the currency, composability, and the community. So, for the currency, so, kasi we're on a token-based economy where it includes crypto, NFTs, diba? Then may tokenomics na tinatawag, which is the economics of the token, because we're in a token-based economy. And I think that's one. And that includes the white paper. That's also na nasabi ni Putik Brown. And yun, that's the currency. And for the composability, siguro medyo bias ako when it comes to composability kasi most of us are devs. So, kasi maraming projects that they keep on telling that they have a platform that they are building a DApp, a decentralized application, pero walang CTO yung team, 'di ba? Parang walang someone who's really in charge to the technology aspect of having a technology business. So nasa tech business ka pero wala kang CTO. Parang it's something na mahirap kaagad magtiwala kasi, 'di ba? You're on a tech business, walang CTO. Then you're promising to create a decentralized app, to create an app, to develop, to code. But then again, the coding is outsourced. Kapag outsourced yung coding, most likely, dyan na yung medyo may alanganin pagdating sa projects. Kasi hindi in-house eh. So I think it's an advantage for a project to have an in-house devs, in-house tech guy, tech team. And the next C is the community.
Hello. I think Isma got drugged. But thank you so much, Isma. In terms of, I think his last point was community, no, and I do agree with that, and I do agree with having an in-house tech, no, because sometimes, if you sometimes outsource it or to devs that you're so familiar with, safety or trust is an issue. No, and for us also, we have an in-house tech team for our team now, for our platform, and that really provides a lot of security, no, and these are the people that we've worked with for the last like maybe 5 years, no. Isma, are you did you continue on the community? Okay, I'm not sure if his mic is working. So maybe just some, I'd like to wrap the room. I'd like to wrap the space already. Mike posted an article on NFT red flags, what you should avoid. So everyone, if especially for those who are newcomers, that would be nice to look at, no, for the safety of everyone. And then also, my team just sent a reminder. One thing special that we're doing, because we now have released our Genesis. Few not so many, not so big, like 30 pieces of Email X Email and 30 pieces of Hoya X Baldovino. And a special thing that we're doing is we're giving a signed, beautiful print, one of ones for those that for first owners of the NFT, and we still have some that people can choose from. So the moment you have one, just let us know, and then we'll have a printout, and it's also upgradable to a bigger size or with frame, and we'll ship it free anywhere else, no, or anywhere in the Philippines. So these are beautiful pieces that our artists have agreed to gift our collectors. So without much further ado, I'd like to thank so much our speakers. Isma, thank you so much for tonight. I really like listening to your pub as well. I hope he's doing fine, and I'm sure he's very happy to have you back home. Thank you so much, Putik Brown. It's our first time to host you, and it's been very nice to hear your thoughts. I appreciate a lot of your insights, many of
Ah,
learnings that we already also had. Yes, go ahead, Putik Brown.
sorry. By the way I'm sorry if hindi pala ako nakapagpakilala na ngayon ko lang na-realize, but everyone can just call me, Mark na lang. So, yun yung
Mark.
first name ko. Yes po.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, and nice to meet you. Um, and then Mike, thank you so much. You've always been so supportive and been so kind, and especially to everyone in the NFT space. You're a very dear friend of Scarlet Box, so we appreciate you being here tonight and always sharing. And we have a high respect for your work and what you do. Very tireless, and in terms of trying to get all the information in and to be curated for the safety of everyone and information of the Filipino community. Isma, I'm not sure if you heard what I said, but because you've been going up and down. But thank you so much for coming, and you're one of the ones that I respect in terms of being very knowledgeable in the blockchain space. So that's how I met Isma. I met him through a Twitter space, and I wanted to, so I asked for a Zoom and just to get to know him, because he's someone that I thought very knowledgeable in terms of the interoperability and the chains and the latest developments, no, in how to keep us safe. So I'd like to give. I don't know if he's still here, Jaime, the one who spoke earlier. I don't know if my team can just look for him. We'll give him a gift of our Tumblr, of our email Tumblr, because he asked a question. Hoping another person would ask, but would come up and ask, but I guess no one did for tonight. But we'll have another Twitter space somewhere in the middle of June, and it will be fun. We'll have some celebrities there, and the topic will be new and not so new in the space. So it'll be a lot of fun. No, so we're already putting our lineup of celebrities in that space, and maybe we'll have a contest or leading to up to it, or maybe we'll give out something that's valuable and nice, now that everyone will appreciate. So I'd like to thank everyone for your time. And, I really appreciate all of you sharing the space with us tonight. I hope you learned a lot. I did learn a lot from our speakers, and even for the ones even for Jaime, who asked the question. And without further much ado, I'd like to say good night to everyone, and have a good evening. Thank you all. Bye-bye. There, I'll give a lot of purple hearts. Bakit wala akong red hearts? All purple. How do I make my color red? Okay. All right.
You
Thank
can
you,
click.
everyone. Huh? Okay. All right. Marvin and John and Luis, I don't know if you'll be able to hunt Jaime to see maybe if we can give him a gift. I don't know if he's still here, but otherwise, thank you, everyone, and to all who's giving hearts. I'll give you tons of hearts, tons of hearts. Sige. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will close the space now. And for those who, this is recorded. For those who only came in the first half or the last half, very, very informational talk. So feel free to listen to the recording. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.